Hello and welcome to this special video in the Simon Oxfizz Book Club. I'm Simon Oxfizz and I'm joined by...
Lily.
And Dan.
Lily's a friend of ours, Dan is my housemate.
I am indeed.
We're all students and we're all talking about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the most recent book. Well, it's not really by JK Rowling, is it?
It's not really, no.
Well, Rowling or Rowling?
Rowling. JK
Rowling.
Rowling.
Yeah.
We're informed.
Yeah.
So we've all read this recently. What did we think?
It made me angry. Like, I finished it and I was like seething. It's not good.
Okay, Dan?
I enjoyed it. Controversial, I know, but I enjoyed it. It's been. I should preface everything I say by saying I'm an absolute die-hard Potter fan.
So am I. Like.
Well,
Yeah, I think we're all big fans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean,
You're a bit of a nut, really.
I am. Like, I'm very, very aware that everything I'm going to say has got a tremendous bias because
Pottermore
I
House?
absolutely adore it. Gryffindor,
Gryffindor.
of course.
I'm a Gryffindor as well.
Aww.
Oh,
Yeah, we're all going to get along
the
fine.
Gryffindor cast.
I was quite surprised, to be fair.
Really, what were you expecting?
I was expecting a Slytherin. I was like, I'm a good guy.
I was expecting Ravenclaw.
Can I swear on this channel?
I will probably bleep swearing.
Okay, cool.
Solid start.
Okay, so you were made angry by this book?
Yeah, like my friends were laughing at me because I was reading it in like a very silent room, and occasionally I would just shut it and go.
Well, you've brought notes.
Yeah,
So you feel deeply enough about this.
Well, I wanted to be prepared. I didn't want to come here and just like chat out my arse. I was like, I need to. I want people to
Your
know I
debut
have
on the
know what I'm
channel, you're
talking
going to know
about.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
like people. Yeah, and like I am also a diehard Harry Potter fan. Like I was there midnight, books were out, and I was there when like the films were released, dressed up, maybe. Like, it was Luna Lovegood. It was good times. But yeah, and like this book just like upset me because I just didn't. It's not. I know it's like a personal thing. It's just not the way I wanted the canon to go.
Okay, so what was
Yeah.
what was the main problem with it?
Other than the plot.
Okay, so was the plot the main problem?
Yeah, actually, and I think everyone's saying like, oh, like it's it's a script, like you can't get like a full meaning out of it, and I'm like, yeah, but all I'm left with here is the plot and the dialogue, so that is what I'm going to judge.
Yeah.
And I thought both were abysmal.
So we should probably mention, for those of you who somehow haven't read this yet, this is a story by JK Rowling, which has been adapted into a script by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne, which is being put on in London at the moment.
It is.
And so the book itself isn't prose; it is Act 2, Scene 10.
Spoilers.
There. Yeah, sorry.
It's written entirely as a play script, so you have
Yeah.
both dialogue, you have stage directions too. So we should also preface this by saying none of us have seen the stage show.
Well, we can't afford it.
Well, this is one thing. I actively wanted to read the
book instead.
First, because I had my doubts about the stage show. I wasn't sure how well it would be, with it being, so, I mean, magic, for one. Like, I think that while they can do amazing things on stage at the moment, I think that kind of conversion they would really struggle with. I mean, it's had absolutely incredible reviews.
Yeah, the stage show's got much better reviews than the book has.
Yeah.
I've had friends who've seen it, and they were just like, the magic is just incredible, and I was like, I'm sure it was, but that is not what I get to judge when I read it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the plot then?
Are we allowed with
I thought, broad strokes, what is the plot?
Harry's youngest child, Albus, befriends Scorpius, Malfoy's son, obviously, on the train to Hogwarts because he feels like he's under his father's shadow, and there's time turners involved, and they get up to shenanigans to kind of, I don't know how to like phrase it. Like we're spoiling things, aren't we?
I don't think we should go into full spoiler territory.
Okay.
But there's shenanigans.
There's
to do with lineage.
Shenanigans, and the shenanigans are overly, are more or less based. They both have problems with their father figure.
Yeah,
and that's.
So, I mean,
where
this
things
is how
stem
many
from.
years in the future? 20 odd?
It starts 19 though, because it's 19 years after
It's-
is the
it's-
epilogue, so
19
it's
years
19,
later.
yeah.
19 years later.
But then it quickly goes to when Albus and Scorpius are 14, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, that's where
there are
it,
quite
like-
a few
Yeah.
flash forwards and
Yeah.
back. Not only for in the style of in the lives of the characters are there flashes forward and flashes back, but also the way the plot is structured. There is a lot of jumping around in timelines.
And time travel is notoriously difficult to write.
It
I
is.
think that's where I was just like, like we're going there. Like,
See,
okay.
I think for one thing, while I certainly don't think the plot was perfect, and I think the reason why people were so kind of disappointed, certainly like everyone here, quite strong Potter fans, is because it is so distant and feels so far away from what we're used to with Harry Potter. It's got far more mature themes for one,
Yeah.
and the sense of magic is far less. I think that's wise because it's meant for stage. While there is magic and they can pull off some tricks which you read as stage direction, the biggest difference is this book is just distant from the kind of magical world that we know.
And also the characters, because obviously they developed over 20 odd years, the characters are really quite different.
Yeah.
Apart from Ron.
See, I think no.
Ron just turns up and eats and makes...
Yeah, but that's not who he was at the end of the series. He had so much more depth to him by the end of the 7th book than turning up for occasional punchlines and to eat.
Such
Yeah,
as...
that's true.
What?
That is true.
Okay, give me an example.
What? Like, him, like, the final book, just everything he did, like, gave him, like, background, and he was so much more, three-dimensional.
I think, arguably, of the main trio, he has the strongest character arc in the final book. I think certainly the adversity
yes.
he faces and how much he changes. Bearing in mind he was the one in the final book who left.
Yeah, he
and
bailed.
had to come back. So there already you have massive change. I do think that they underplayed him in the book.
And
Yeah,
he's the most one-dimensional in this.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
I mean, both Hermione and Ron are very one-dimensional. Hermione is your career woman who doesn't really have much emotion.
It didn't
Ron
make any
turns up and
sense to
eats.
me because she's so over-emotional. Like, she's... Like,
Well, she
in
does
this
respond
not
to emotional
over-emotional,
things
but-
in kind, like the whole marriage thing. Spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I didn't. For me, it was partly their careers as well. It's not where I would have thought any of it would have went.
Oh, really?
And, like,
you don't think Hermione would be mistress for magic?
She I can't see her chaining herself to an organisation that she resented and hated for so many years, and that she
Bearing in
fully thought
mind
was corrupt.
That organisation that she hated for so many years had changed a great deal when Kingsley Shacklebolt became Minister for Magic. So there was a change there. And I think also we should remember too that while it is a Harry Potter book and you immediately think of the famous 3, it's called the Cursed Child.
It's not about
the focus is
Cursed.
on the
Cursed child.
Cursed
Yeah.
child. The focus
With
is
the
very
accent.
much on the next generation. So I think in a way you're almost from the very beginning you're almost going to feel like those characters are less deep because it's not about them.
Yeah, I guess. I think for me, like, they're kind of where they went from. It almost felt like they were taking the characters from the films and not the books, and taking them and advancing.
Oh no,
there.
that's an interesting point.
Yeah, that's it's in my notes.
Oh.
I was thinking, like, especially like Ginny was like the person who made me think of that, because like
Yeah.
she's there like, oh, we're sugar free, Harry, like, and I was like, F off, like Ginny Weasley is not like this person, like. She is a badass Quidditch playing, like, legend.
I mean, she did end up reporting Quidditch for the Daily Prophet.
Yeah, I do. I
and
read
that's
that.
the one
That's
thing
the one
that
job.
seemed...
Yeah, that was the one thing I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that 100% Ginny would do that. And like it's such a travesty that film Ginny was so shit. Again, another potentially controversial.
I don't think
thing
anybody
there.
would disagree with that.
Yeah, okay, that's...
No, yeah.
Comment if you do. But film
sorry.
Ginny was... Well, that's another interesting sort of point overall, in that this isn't just the sequel to the books, it's the sequel to the films.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's trying to draw on two
I guess it's
very
trying to-
similar but different...
Medias.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
trying to combine it into one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting that we've only talked about Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny so far. That's
What-
clearly,
okay,
like,
right.
where
So
we're
what did you
invested.
think of the kids?
I thought Scorpius was a really cool character.
Mhm.
Like, I was glad that I felt was the most interesting.
Yeah, from his
Yeah,
from
the
his
get-go.
introduction,
Yeah.
you already know after I don't know maybe 20 lines of dialogue you like this guy. I
Yeah.
think a lot
Yeah,
of that is to
definitely.
do with he's Malfoy's son, and he
Yeah.
is so different from Malfoy's
Yeah.
son. You can kind of relate to him, and both I think too you understand where Albus is coming from too, having a dad like he does.
I feel like he wasn't written that strongly.
No, you're saying, but again, like, all we have is his dialogue, which I think was poor.
Yes, because he's been getting
he's a
great reviews on the show.
Yeah, he's like a grumpy teenager, and like
Mm.
it kind of reminded me of like book 5 Harry, like, you know,
Whiny Harry.
Yeah, like whiny Harry, but like whiny Harry, like, you totally understand and you empathise and you're like, oh, you just feel so bad for him. Albus, I was kind of just like, get over it, like, sorry, but
I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
is
that's
that a bit
pretty.
mean?
I think that's being a bit harsh. I certainly at no point did I feel that he was. I don't think he was written weakly at all. If I think I would compare probably not as strong or as deep as Scorpius, because I wouldn't be surprised if Scorpius actually has more dialogue.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
want
he's
to
on his
go
own for one
through it.
section, isn't he? For one of the flashbacks in time.
Yeah, and which is
oh yeah,
interesting too, because the kind of the duo that they form, Albus usually kind of leads the way, and Scorpius is the one kind of cracking the lines and being like, oh,
Yeah.
not this again.
Yeah.
And so
He was like the Ron of the two. Like, I
Yeah.
felt in a
Yeah.
way.
When she's shifted the power dynamic, at least that it wasn't just another trio.
Yeah.
yes, it's true.
Though I do think it was contrived. Like,
Well,
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem I have with this.
Yeah.
Why did it need to exist?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like she needs the money, for one thing. I don't believe that she wrote this for money because
It's
she's
not
wrong.
exactly made people happy who've read it. Like,
I mean,
not.
do you think this was because she had an artistic itch to scratch? She wanted it as a challenge.
I think she
to write time travel.
I think she just wanted to do it, and I think that's fine. And if she's going into it with that, you know, she cares so much, and she hasn't done a George Lucas. She hasn't cared so much about a franchise that she's absolutely ruined it. While people would be disappointed, I don't think people would be saying, "Well, I would be happier if it never had existed."
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd be happier.
Really?
Yeah, because I had my own like ideas of where it was all gonna go.
Yeah, I mean,
and like they were just obliterated in this canon, and like it upsets me because I think they're shit.
Well, a lot of the points that have been said so far, though, certainly in regards to the kind of the trio, and where they have gone, the canon storyline existed before this book was written. There's so much that is canonized through either Pottermore or wikis that have been confirmed as their future lives. Yeah. So I don't think the issue's there.
I don't know if I feel like I've wasted time reading it or that I want to unread it, but I just feel like it was a bit meh.
Yeah,
did either of you cry reading this?
No.
Well, you're like a leaky faucet. You cry quite easily.
I definitely did. Not overtly, but there were. I'm trying to think.
I welled a little bit when the Scorpius and Albus hugged. I was like, oh.
I think the thing that most emotionally affected me was when one of the Time Turners go back and come back, and it was Voldemort Day. That reality, I found that quite affecting.
The opening up of Snape in that scene.
When he gets to be a hero.
I think I really enjoyed that. It was dangerous because it is totally changing a character, right? That we all have in our heads. Granted, it's a different character.
Oh, there he is. Sorry. We have our TV on and we have photos of our friends coming up sort of from our albums and a wonderful picture. We're not showing you that because he will kill us.
Peter, it's you. We love it. The bit that really got me was finally seeing when Harry is speaking to the portrait of Dumbledore.
Oh, and he finally gets to voice all
and
these,
he really does, and he properly hammers. He completely kind of tears it down, and he gets angry, properly, not kind of child angry. This is a
grown man
with kids. And you see Dumbledore, it's written in as Dumbledore welling up and crying and saying like, and finally kind of admitting his faults.
Yeah, which
and that really I thought was important, and I'm so glad that she did, because she could have kept it all kind of mysterious and him being that character that you never really understand.
I never question really.
Yeah.
He's always this powerful figure, and yet in this he's made a lot more human in retrospect.
Yeah.
I think the point you raised earlier actually there about having that already being canon through Pottermore and through wikis is interesting, in that maybe this is one of the very first sort of postmodern books that's had to deal with that.
Yeah,
it has to fit in with all this other stuff that's gone on and not retconned it. It's almost like imagine if.
But I don't think it's managed it.
Well, yeah, I actually think that it would have been better off if it had done a Star Wars Episode 7. Because there was a pre-existing canon for that. Yeah, I
would have paid good money to have a book about the Marauders. Like, that would have brought me so much joy.
But even to say that whether it has managed it or it hasn't managed it implies that when you finish reading this book, you will have an opinion of one or the other. Of it kind of, it totally satisfied me or it didn't satisfy me at all. It served the previous books, yes it did, or no it didn't. I don't think it. If you're kind of looking at it like that. You're not doing the book justice, because there is so much. I think it's very much a scale, and I think while people can, fervently disagree and say no, I really, really didn't enjoy it, and then you get, people who are almost blinded. I think I am slightly by my love of the franchise. I've been waiting so long to hear more. Every now and then we hear things through those other canonized websites or kind of mediums where she writes small short stories. But for a lot of people, certainly me, it was just so great to go back into that world again. Granted, it was different, but it was still going back.
What do you think she should have changed? What could be done to salvage this book?
Remove all the time travel.
Write a new book. Yeah. I think given how if people talk about the books and the films, one of the book I think that gets the most flack is Azkaban.
But that's the film that gets the most praise.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It's the best
Yeah,
film.
it's definitely one of the best films. But it's also my least favorite book, and I think it is because of the time travel. I can't get over like the.
And
I mean,
it's
I feel the time travel in this is better than in Azkaban.
Oh yeah,
Well, this is
it
the
has
thing.
more.
She would have heard. I mean, she J.K. will not be oblivious to the fact that a lot of people really didn't enjoy that, and I think not only is it brave for her to even consider writing a new piece for the franchise, but for the main plot device to be time travel.
Was this to quell the haters then?
I don't think, not to quell them, no, but to kind of say, okay, well, let me try again. Let's give it another go. Certainly for me, while there are parts in the stories where you in those multiple kind of what would you call them, timelines, I guess,
Yeah.
where they go back to, there are certain kind of twists in plot where you think, oh, well, that's a little bit,
It's a reach.
yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, that's how lucky.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I think there it could have been. People are saying how long is the play? It's like 4 hours or something.
Well,
it's two
Well, it's two parts,
yeah.
and like people are saying it could have just been so much shorter, and I feel the same with this. Like it could, like so much could have been.
But
cut from it.
this felt too short to me.
Oh, see, I was like, stop giving me cameos of characters. Like, stop giving me like
Well,
this.
I
Give
think-
me a hearty
Would it have been
plot.
better if it had been a novel then? Like if it had all the stuff in between?
Well,
Because
obviously,
we've all read
well,
this in about
yeah.
5 hours.
Yeah.
It was not a long read.
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
I think with it feels short because we are missing so much
Yeah.
of the full experience. If you really want to form a good and honest opinion, and if you've read the book and you think, well, I enjoyed it, but there are other parts that I'm not quite sure, you have to see the stage show
But I think,
because it will change it.
but do you not think the stage show is just smoke and mirrors of what is the core is the plot and the dialogue, and that's what we get here. Everything that everyone is saying is amazing on stage is just it's the acting and the people and like the special effects, which is not what
I mean,
I'm
when
here
you
for.
when you
I'm
read
here for-
Shakespeare in script form, it still is just as engaging.
Yeah,
That's true.
I mean, yes, the stage adds value to it,
yeah, and it makes you
But-
understand it more.
but the
Well, there you
bare
go.
bones of it.
It makes you understand it more. Like I think that you cannot completely commit yourself with your opinion just to the book, and especially if it's a really strong one, and totally rule out the stage when it's written for the stage.
I guess.
I mean, I don't think it might, it might not. You might see it, and your opinion may remain the same. But just having that experience and exposing yourself to the medium that it's meant to be experienced in, it's not. I think we're very lucky that she even released a play script.
Yeah.
She could have very simply gone, no, I just want to keep it on stage.
Also, total side note, I got so angry with JK Rowling when she was like, "Oh yeah, I've done it so like to get people to the theatre who like wouldn't go, like people from my background." I was like, tickets are like £100.
Yeah, this is not
I was
encouraging
like,
people
what
to
the
go.
f-? You can't say that. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
whatever.
true.
I mean, I still would love to see the show.
I'd love to see
Yeah.
it for sure.
And I do think, I mean, certainly some of the stage directions you read and you're like, how?
Yeah.
Like, you're shrinking the stage and like reversing time.
Yeah.
That's
it's-
not how it works, JK.
Well, there are pages and pages when you see it advertised. It's just block text, paragraphs and paragraphs of 5 stars.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
as a spectacle, it's
Yeah, I bet it's amazing. But
It's
like
tremendous.
for me, I'm like, how are they doing polyjuice transformations on stage? Like how?
Yeah.
How?
Well, that's a whole another thing. While it is a book club, the importance of it being a staged piece and the work that work has been done and the steps forward that it is taking for theatre. It's caused some serious ripples, and what has been achieved, I think many other kind of directors, playwrights are going to want to see it and think, oh well, you know what, we can do these kind of things. God knows how they have, and I don't want to know because again,
Ruins
it
the
ruins the magic.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like what Hamilton did for musical.
Yeah, true.
That reinvigorated the genre,
Yeah.
especially historical musicals, so much.
I thought the villain is the female villain. I won't spoil.
There's like one female new character.
Okay.
And people who've read are watching this,
Like,
you could almost have read this in the time you've watched this video, for goodness sake.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that she was totally
Yeah,
unconvincing.
and I also just don't think. Can I just go for the spoiler?
But from this point onwards, if you haven't seen it, haven't read it, spoilers.
Voldemort would not want a child. Also, I don't like the idea of him having like sexual organs.
I also don't like the idea of him coming back. Like that seems to be
Yeah.
supremely lazy.
Yeah.
Like, that shadowy threat from before. Like,
might return.
yeah, I mean,
Eh.
if you're gonna have an antagonist, there's so many loose threads from the
Yeah,
original series.
so many things she could have gone, like so many routes she could
You
have
could
gone
have
down.
done the werewolf route.
Yeah, and instead,
yeah, that's true.
instead, like,
you could have made Bane and the centaurs the villains.
yeah. I also was just like, I thought that whole bit was a bit shit. Like when we went to see Bane, it had added nothing apart from like probably something spooky on stage.
I think
Whatever.
in regards to Voldemort coming back, if she did ever, and she has come out and said to the media that this will be the end now, but that's what she said at the end of the 7th book. So I think you've got to kind of take that as it is. If she did ever write a story where there was a kind of drastic change as to the antagonist not being Voldemort and it being totally different and going down a completely different route, which I think I wouldn't say I don't want any more. I if she comes out with more and more and more, I'm going to take it. I'm going to consume it. But I don't think it would be Harry Potter, and I think the titles would change. I think that it would be totally distant. It wouldn't be Harry Potter and because that's in the title.
Like Newt Scamander is doing in the films.
Well, exactly.
See, that I'm really hyped for.
Yeah,
I'm not sold on that.
I'm totally hyped.
I'm really worried about it.
Yeah.
See,
I really hope it's going to be good. But
I mean, Colin Firth in it, I'm excited for. I feel like some of the talent associated with it.
Colin Farrell.
Yes, not Colin Firth.
Yeah,
he's the.
Although I mean, if he was in it,
I wouldn't object.
complain.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I like the aesthetic of going to 20s America, isn't it?
Yeah. I think for me, I'm so excited for it because it doesn't have to be as good as the Harry Potter books. It's in the same universe, but
and it doesn't have any threads that need to
it doesn't
lead
need.
up to
It can just be
It's
on
not
its
gonna
own,
Hobbit.
like a really good film. It can just be a fun film in its own right. It doesn't have to be amazing, and I'm hyped for it.
At the end of the day, the universe she's made is still amazing.
Yeah.
We're in love with the
Definitely.
universe.
Yeah.
I just feel like this story perhaps wasn't the right one to tell.
I think the thing that I think everyone will agree with, even if you loved it or you hated the book, is that the ending of the 7th book was an ending. You kind of like you properly read the end and you were like, yeah, all right.
I was satisfied.
You felt a deep hole in your life where you feel like there's not going to be any more of these. Because it is definitely
because
an end.
she kept writing all those great. I mean, there was I can't remember when it would have been. I think maybe a couple of months ago. There was a really gorgeous short story about Minerva McGonagall.
Oh yeah.
And her back, and that's awesome. I thought that was really nice. And again, like with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, you can consume that, and it's totally on its own, and it's separate from everything else, and that's fine. I've read all the stuff that she's put out for
Pottermore.
The Fantastic Beasts kind of universe.
Oh,
and
right.
Is it? I forget the name of the new school.
Oh, there's the American one.
Yeah, it begins with
and
an
it
S.
sounds dog.
It's. I don't know. I mean, I didn't.
It
really
really sounds
like,
awful.
Yeah. I just.
I have a problem with the fact that like JK Rowling clearly understands nothing about American culture if she thinks the whole of America has one school. Like I'm like,
is there an Ivy League of like American
but I'm
wizard
like, are they
schools?
taught potions in like a
Is it in
baseball
Salem?
pitch? Like for reals? Oh, I've been to Salem.
Oh.
Yeah, cool.
You made it out?
It wasn't hung. If that's what you're asking.
Hanged, for goodness
Oh
sake.
yeah, hangs. Yeah.
English student.
Yeah. That's a cross against your name. I'd be really interested to see how they pull the film off. I'm really excited for it, and I think that since the last book, the advances that have been made in film, I think we're in store for some pretty exciting things.
Controversial opinion, I never thought the films were amazing.
No, because I think if you're a lover of the books, you're almost psyching yourself up to be slightly disappointed.
But also, they're very bland films.
Because so much of the bits in the book that I love are not really key arcing plot points.
Yeah, true.
It's little scenes.
It's like Spew. Like I loved like Hermione getting involved in Spew.
Yeah.
Was it
like,
Order of the Phoenix where this Harry and Cho go into that cafe on?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it would be such a funny scene to see because it's Harry. That's first part. It was it wasn't done. And I understand that because you've got a certain amount of time and you've really got to consolidate what is a massive
But they
timeline
also
within
added
each
in
book.
shit that just like wasn't needed.
Yeah,
They really did. Well, Voldemort can fly, and him and Harry are having like a wrestling match whilst flying around
also
Hogwarts.
becoming the same human. Like,
and he can control chains and stuff like that.
Well, this isn't just Harry Potter though. I mean, like you could see. I mean,
you could do this
I'm
with
going
any
to.
like, film.
You're
going to ruin a whole franchise.
I'm going to reference this is a really bad kind of example, but
I'm going to do
The
it.
Hobbit is a great book and love the book, but you do get scenes in it like the Storm Giants scene, which is meant to be they're looking out of a cave and they hear, God, is that thunder? No, it's giants. Then you move on. And then in the film, you have like a 10-minute sequence of just colossuses fighting. And with any book to film conversion, they're going to be scenes that are added purely for spectacle. Because not everybody is going to be consuming the film with such a love of the thing that you need to appease everyone and you need some big
especially
showy...
like kids who are going to go and be like, oh my
exactly.
God,
So
Well, also the Hobbit films are terrible.
Oh yeah,
Just generally.
They should have just done one really good film. Like that's what they should have done. But anyway, we're off piece.
So we've been talking about this for ages.
We have,
Okay, right. Quick rating out of 10. Go, Lily.
6.
That's generous.
Yeah, that is generous actually.
That-
Maybe
Dan?
we can change it to 5. 5.
6.8. It's not a 7, but it's.
I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
wait, no.
On average, that means we're about 5.
Wait, I want to change mine. Oh.
No, too late.
Oh, that's
Too
fine.
late. So it's about a 5 out of 10. Who should read it?
Anyone who's in.
That
Anyone,
rating's slipping by the moment.
anyone who is interested in wanting to have an opinion, if you've
Yeah.
ever been exposed to the franchise, be it in the films or the books, or if you haven't seen any of them and you kind of jumped in on the whole Pottermore band before it is what it is now, and there was the one a couple of years ago where you could be sorted and you did all those things, and there was like a point-based system. Even if it's just that, if you've been exposed to the franchise, I think it certainly wouldn't do any harm in seeing
I
it.
don't know though. I think people who shouldn't watch it are people who've seen the films and not read any of the books. Like going, this is your first Harry Potter book.
Yes.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
yeah.
If that's your first Harry Potter book, it's not your first Harry Potter book
Yeah.
because it's not a Harry. That's what ultimately what it is. It's not a Harry Potter book.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so distant from all the other books. It's wrong to consider it. It's wrong to call it. Oh, it's the 8th book. It's
Perhaps
not.
it should be called The Cursed Child and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Would that make more sense, considering the onus is very much on...
Or it could just be Albus Potter and his adventures.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, because it's not really about Harry.
Yeah,
Well,
to
it's
try
not
and
good,
fit it into the mold of all the previous books with having Harry Potter and I think is setting a reader up
but- Oh, true.
for
for
disappointment
yeah,
because
true,
it's
true,
not
true.
it's not like the other books. Having said that, I think it's worth the read.
I'm not sure it is.
I'm not sure it is either, to be honest. I mean, if you can borrow a copy, I wouldn't necessarily
Yeah,
say
you
go
haven't
out
even
there.
bought that one yourself.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this, hopefully we'll be able to do some more discussions like this in the future. I might
Yeah.
rope Dan in to do book clubs in the future anyway.
Yeah, I'd
I'm
love
not
to.
invited
We'll
again.
see. You're not. You're off to uni. But thank you for joining us. If you agree or disagree with us, want to hear about it in the comments down
Yeah.
below and fight us. And we'll see you next time.
Lame.
Cool. Right, get that robot balls on, fam.
Quickly!
4!